Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 4, take 55 of Coloring Outside the Box. Today has been a bit of a challenge for me because technology has not been my best friend. And so I am now attempting for the fourth time to do this podcast and hoping that I don't bore myself. So, on that note, let's move on from my adventures in technology to talk about the focus of this week's podcast, which is growing. I came to this because I've spent much of the last week planting the more than 100 plants that I purchased in various and sundry pots and containers. And I found it to be far more challenging this year than usual because I couldn't seem to figure out exactly what it was I wanted to do. So I would stand amongst all the various plants I purchased going, what am I supposed to do now? And looking at the pots going, do I have enough? Even though I have quite a few. At the heart of this challenge was a small sapling that had set up shop in one of my favorite pots. Now, it's not more than 18 inches high, but it's vibrant because it's alive and it's growing. And I thought, I know that's one of my favorite pots, but I just cannot take that, end that tree's poor life. It's vibrant, it's alive. And then I realized why I felt that way, because for me, it was a symbol of new growth in my life. And for me to remove that from the pot and casually, essentially throw it away was felt really just inappropriate to me. Sorry for the little scratchy throat. So I hummed and I hawed and I hummed and I hawed. And while I'm trying to plant flowers, all I can think of is, what am I going to do with that tree? What am I going to do with that tree? What am I going to do with that tree? What am I going to do with that tree? And it's funny how life winks at you. One of my neighbors, I went over to, have a look at her garden and have a chat with her. And I was telling her about my conundrum. And she said, that's funny. Take a look at what I have going on. And she pulls out this pot, this really large flower pot. And in right smack dab in the middle of this pot is a little tiny, and I swear not any bigger than this, evergreen. And she looked at me and she said, I can't stand to pull it out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I can't stand to pull it out. So we kind of laughed because there was a simpatico in that. And, when she said that, I realized, oh, okay, I'm not just being a wuss or a sentimentalist. There actually is something here of value to me. So I gave it quite a lot of thought. So I'm still trying to figure out what flowers to plant in which pots, and finally came to the conclusion that as much as I wanted to use that particular pot, because it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite, because it's turquoise and that's my favorite color, I realized I don't need to plant it, because I was going to plant flowers in it, and I was going to do this, and I was going to do that. And then I realized, well, I have to make a decision about this tree because it can't continue to grow in this pot. It's too small a container. So, as often happens to almost all of us, divine inspiration arrived. And I realized that the best thing I could do is find someone who would want to plant that tree. Now, I have a small backyard, so I had no place for it. But I called a young man I know who was 30, has 4 kids, and said, would your kids like to plant this tree in your yard? He said, that would be great. So once I took care of that particular, what seemed to be impossible problem, because I was at war with myself, I realized that this symbolized something really powerful and very important. And that is, this is a time of growth, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it feels like we're stuck, we're stagnant, or even going backwards. This is a time of growth. But maybe the container that we've been growing in no longer suits us. For me, that little sapling was a sign of the new growth in my life. The things that I am readying myself to do, even at age 70. And I can not quite gag when I say that, because I can't believe that I've been on the planet for that long. Seems like just yesterday. Anyway, so we are in a time and a space where where the opportunity is to grow something new, but something that no longer fits in the container that we are used to. The recognition that anything that of value to us, it can continue to grow, just needs to find new space, new place. And we need to be able to nurture that. And that could be, a space and a place inside us. It can be initiating something that we've always wanted to do that just doesn't seem to fit into our lives right now. But that doesn't mean the seeds or the little plant is not ready to grow. If there's something in you that you have always nurtured, it could be a dream of something, or you've taken small steps towards something that really matters to you, not sure how that might proceed. Just know that if you stay present for how much that it means to you, how important that is to you, then you will have an opportunity to find a place where it will grow in fertile soil, whether that's in your imagination, in your planning process, or in just being every day and engaging in the process of growing yourself. Because the truth is that everything that we do in life has the potential to help us grow ourselves. That is truly what the purpose is of the things we do in our lives. It's to grow ourselves. Which is why, if you say, you always wanted to do, I don't know, climb Mount Everest. So what happens after you've climbed Mount Everest? Well, you still have to grow. You still have to find other challenges and other things that will help you grow even more into yourself. And this is really important at a time when we feel that life is asking us to put all of the burdens of the challenges that we're currently facing squarely on our shoulders all the time, with no space to breathe, no space to be open, no space to laugh, no space to love. We just gotta suck it up, hold our breaths, and hope for the best. Finding something that you can grow, whether it's inside yourself or outside yourself, is healthy, it's life affirming. I know, because I just spent, the better part of last week with my hands in dirt. And if there's anything that's going to make you feel that you can grow something, it's that. And trust me, when I say this, I do not speak as an inveterate gardener. I would not typify myself in that way at all. In fact, during one of the many hats I wore when I was a journalist was I was editor of the Home and Garden page, which made all of my friends laugh because, they did not equate me to, that being an important facet of my life. And in a way it is, because it's something that I enjoy doing once a year, because it gives me a connection to the macrocosm that I live in, so that I don't get so caught up in my humanness that I forget that I am, that aspect of life is, the human aspect of life is not the only aspect of life. And the other joy of finding something that can help you grow is it gives ease to life experience. It can make you feel like there is something you can do, because we live at a time right now where we think there's nothing we can do. And that's just simply not true. It is this experience we're having. It feels tight. It feels constrained. It feels overwhelming at times. We humans don't always like change, even though change is inevitable. It reminds me of a quote of a man who once said at a workshop that I attended, and his name was Robert Subby. And he was one of the pioneers of the codependency movement. And he said, change is inevitable, change is inevitable, growth is optional. Now, having said that, I want to say that I very clearly believe that humans desire to grow. Otherwise, we wouldn't learn. Otherwise, we wouldn't take risks. We want to grow. The question is, are we going to give ourselves permission to do that? So, right now, take a few moments and just think about what might really be something that you would want to grow. And in doing so, you're going to connect to something that is of true value to you. And I want you to acknowledge whatever first popped into your head. Don't dismiss it, write it down. And if you're in resistance around it, just after you've written it down, you don't have to do anything with it right now, just leave it. And often I suggest to people that they write things down, simply because it takes on a physical nature when you write it down, and it no longer feels like, you're, wishful thinking, or, just a momentary lapse in reality. Well, the truth is, imagination is often a momentary lapse in reality. And having said that, be present for your current reality. Be okay with the fact that you don't like it. However, it is important to accept that it is the reality, because avoiding it will only disconnect you from yourself. It won't help you cope, because you'll be too busy disconnecting from it to recognize those moments that will show you hints of what's next, feelings that all will be well. Now, of course, we don't know what that looks like. Nobody does right now. Now, that may or may not be of any consolation to you at all. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be just the way that it is, because you can't change what is. However, you can change your perception, and you can change your approach. So, think about this. Think about what you'd like to grow. Is it some aspect of yourself? Is it a project that you have in mind? And while you're looking for something to grow, give yourself permission to play with it. You don't have to manifest something tomorrow by 4 o'clock. You just have to be present for where your heart wants to go. Maybe your body won't be going there anytime soon, but your heart wants to go there. And you know, the gift of imagination is it is the seed, it is the beginning of what it is we choose to do, the dream, the calling. And no matter how fanciful it is or how improbable it is, if it's something that really speaks to your heart, please pay attention. Please honor yourself by paying attention. I would really love it if you would share with me some of the things that come to you, places and spaces that you want to grow. And you can do that by sending me an email at thepathrevealed@outlook.com. I wish you joy. And I'm going to suggest that as I bring this to a close, that you embrace the light, acknowledge the darkness, grow yourself, and above all, be kind to yourself and to others. Thank you for tuning in. Take care. Much love.